I was 9 years old, the summer my parents took me on a trip to Florida. It was supposed to be the perfect vacation. Long days on the beach, playing in the waves, and visiting theme parks. My parents had been planning it for months, carefully choosing a beachfront hotel that promised relaxation and fun. The hotel itself was beautiful, though not overly fancy. The lobby was large, filled with tall palm trees and the smell of salt water drifting in from the ocean. I remember staring at the pool from the check-in desk, watching as other kids splashed and played, eager to jump in myself. The breakfast buffet boasted stacks of waffles, fresh fruit, and a juice machine that I couldn't wait to try the next morning. My parents were exhausted from the long drive, eager to unwind. My mom set our bags down with a sigh, and my dad collapsed onto the bed, flipping through the TV channels absent-mindedly. But I was 9. I had energy to burn, curiosity to feed, the excitement of being somewhere new, the promise of adventure just outside our door. It was too much to ignore. After we settled into the room, my mom started unpacking while my dad turned on the TV. I asked if I could go get a snack from the vending machine down the hall. My mom hesitated, but eventually agreed, as long as I went straight there and back. The hallway was empty and quiet, except for the distant hum of an ice machine. The vending machine was at the end of the hall, next to a stairwell. I remember staring at the rows of colorful snacks, trying to decide between a candy bar and a bag of chips. I didn't hear the footsteps at first. Then someone spoke behind me. "That one's my favorite too." I turned around. He was a man in his late 30s or early 40s, dressed casually in jeans and a button-down shirt. He had a friendly face, the kind that didn't seem immediately threatening. But there was something off about him, something I couldn't quite place at the time. "Oh," I said, unsure how to respond. He smiled. "You here with your family?" I hesitated. My mom had told me not to talk to strangers, but I didn't want to be rude. "Yeah," I muttered. "That's nice," he said. "I used to come here with my kids when they were your age. You like staying in hotels?" I shrugged, suddenly feeling uneasy. I pressed the button for my snack, grabbed it, and took a step back. He didn't move out of the way. "You know," he said, lowering his voice, "they have an arcade downstairs. It's not on the main floor. You have to take the side stairs. Bet your parents didn't tell you about that." I had seen the lobby. There was no arcade. "I don't think so," I said slowly. He nodded. "It's easy to miss. It's just past the employee hallway. You want to go check it out? I can show you." I took another step back. My heart was beating faster now. I shook my head. "I have to go back." His smile faltered for a second. "Oh, come on. You're not scared, are you? Just for a few minutes. I'll even give you some quarters." He pulled a handful of coins from his pocket and held them out. I looked at them, then back at him. And that's when I knew for sure something was wrong. I turned and ran. I didn't say anything. I didn't wait for him to respond. I just bolted down the hall as fast as my legs would take me. I could hear footsteps behind me, not running, but walking quickly. "Faye," his voice called after me, but I didn't stop. I reached our room, fumbled with the key card, and shoved the door open. My mom looked up, startled. "What's wrong?" I slammed the door shut behind me. There was a man. He tried to get me to go with him. My dad was already off the bed. "What?" I told them everything, my words stumbling over each other. My mom looked horrified. My dad grabbed the room phone and called the front desk. Within minutes, the hotel manager and a security guard knocked on our door. My dad explained what had happened, and the manager's face went pale. "Did he say his name?" the manager asked. I shook my head. "Did you see where he went?" the security guard asked. "No," I said, "but he said there was an arcade." The manager and security guard exchanged looks. "There is no arcade here," the manager confirmed. "And we don't have a side stairwell leading to an employee hallway." A chill ran down my spine. They searched the hotel. They checked security footage, but there was no sign of the man I had spoken to. "Are you sure he was a guest here?" my mom asked the manager. The manager hesitated. "That's the thing. We don't recognize his description, and we don't have any guests checked in under that name." "What name?" my dad asked. The manager looked grim. "We had a case last year. A man matching this description was reported trying to talk to kids in another hotel nearby. He gave a fake name, and by the time the police arrived, he was gone." My parents didn't let me out of their sight for the rest of the night. The next morning, we checked out early. As we packed up the car, I kept looking around, expecting to see the man standing in the parking lot, watching us, but he was nowhere to be found. We never went back to that hotel. My parents never talked about it again, but I never forgot. I'm an adult now, and I travel a lot for work. But no matter how many years pass, that night at the hotel still lingers in my mind. Now that I have kids of my own, I make sure they know the rules. No wandering off alone, no talking to strangers, no matter how friendly they seem, and never ever sneaking away from their parents just because something looks fun. I drill it into them every time we travel, knowing that danger isn't always obvious until it's too late. Somewhere out there, I know that man, or someone like him, is still walking into hotels, still looking for an opportunity. And I wonder if the next kid will be as lucky as I was. Business trips had become routine for me. Fly in, check into a hotel, attend meetings, fly out. It was rarely exciting, and I had stopped expecting anything different. This time I was in a mid-sized city in the Midwest, booked into a business-class hotel near the airport. The kind of place designed for efficiency, not comfort. The lobby was clean but characterless, the kind of setting that felt more like an airport terminal than a temporary home. Still, it was good enough for a 3-night stay. I arrived later than planned, exhausted from delays. The check-in process was quick, the receptionist barely looking up as she handed me the key card. I took the elevator to the 9th floor, listening to the faint hum of the machinery, the occasional distant chime of other floors. When the doors opened, I stepped into a hallway that felt unnaturally quiet. The lighting was dim, the kind that cast elongated shadows along the carpeted floor. My room was at the far end of the hall, room 927. I passed a few other closed doors, but there was no sound from within, no TV chatter or murmured conversations. It was as if the floor was empty. Inside, the room was exactly as I expected, sterile, efficient, and impersonal. Neutral-colored walls, a king-sized bed tucked tightly into crisp white sheets, a desk with a cheap-looking lamp, and a TV mounted on the wall. I tossed my bag onto the chair, took a quick shower to shake off the travel fatigue, and climbed into bed. I had an early morning meeting and needed the rest. I had no idea that rest would be the last thing I'd get that night. I wasn't sure what woke me. Maybe it was the unfamiliar bed, maybe the hum of the air conditioner. But then I heard it. A faint scratching sound. At first I thought it was coming from outside, just branches brushing against a window. But this was the 9th floor. There were no trees up here. I sat up, listening intently. The sound wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from inside the room, somewhere near the closet. I reached for my phone and turned on the flashlight. The closet door was slightly ajar. I was sure I had closed it when I arrived. Heart pounding, I slid out of bed and approached it. I reached out and nudged the door open all the way. Nothing. Just the empty space where the hotel's standard wooden hangers hung neatly in a row. No sign of anything unusual. I shook my head. Maybe the air pressure from the AC had moved the door. It was a flimsy explanation, but it was enough to let me go back to bed. Until the next sound came. I had just started drifting off when I heard it. A low, rhythmic breathing. My whole body went rigid. It wasn't my own breathing. I was holding my breath. And it wasn't the air conditioner. It was close, too close. It was coming from under the bed. I didn't move. I barely let myself exhale. My mind raced. Was someone hiding in my room? Had they been there when I arrived? After what felt like an eternity, I slowly reached for my phone and turned the flashlight toward the floor. Nothing. I exhaled, but the relief was short-lived. Because just then, I heard something even worse. A knock at my door. I jumped up, adrenaline surging. Who would be knocking at this hour? I approached the door cautiously, looking through the peephole. No one was there. I hesitated. Maybe someone knocked on the wrong door? I waited a moment, then cracked the door open, just enough to peek into the hallway. It was empty. The long stretch of carpeted hallway was silent, the dim glow of the exit sign casting an eerie light. I shut the door and locked it. Whatever was happening, I didn't want any part of it. But then my phone buzzed, a notification from the hotel's app. "How was your first night?" Let us know if you need anything." I needed answers. The next morning, after little sleep, I went downstairs and asked the receptionist if anyone else had reported disturbances on my floor. She hesitated for a second too long before answering. "Not recently, sir. Is there a problem with your room?" I explained what I had heard: the scratching, the breathing, the knock at my door. She nodded, but her expression was unreadable. "You're not the first guest to mention strange occurrences in room 927, she admitted. "A few months ago, someone else reported hearing noises, but when security checked, they found nothing. It happens occasionally, but we've never had any real issues." That wasn't reassuring. "What happened to the last person who stayed there?" I asked. She hesitated again. "They checked out early." I swallowed hard. "I think I'll be doing the same." I decided to stay one more night. I told myself I was overreacting, that there was a logical explanation for everything. But that night, as I lay in bed, I heard it again. The scratching. This time it was coming from inside the bathroom. I turned on the light, heart pounding, and stepped toward the door. The sound stopped the moment I touched the handle. I pushed the door open. Nothing. But the mirror was fogged up as if someone had just been inside, breathing against the glass. I didn't sleep after that. The first sign of morning light, I packed my things and went downstairs. The same receptionist was there. She didn't seem surprised to see me. "Checking out early?" she asked. I nodded. She slid my final bill across the counter, and just before I turned to leave, she spoke again. "If I were you," she said quietly, "I wouldn't stay on the 9th floor next time." I didn't ask why. I didn't want to know. I drove away from the hotel, still unsettled. I told myself it was nothing, just my imagination getting the best of me. But no matter how much time passed, the experience never fully left me. Every time I checked into a hotel, I found myself hesitating before stepping inside. I had developed a habit, checking the closet first, then under the bed, and finally behind the bathroom door. I told myself it was just precaution, but deep down, I knew it was something more. I never stayed on the 9th floor of any hotel again, and I never stopped wondering what would have happened if I had stayed in room 927 just one more night.